It's Sunday morning, the service is about to start, and the worship team is about to lead the congregation in worship. But right before that happens, you notice that the doors of the church open and somebody walks in. It's a guest, someone you've never seen before. But as he makes his way down the aisle, you quickly realize that the person that's visiting you is actually Jesus Christ. But he hasn't come to speak. He hasn't come to make a scene. He's just come to visit. As he makes his way down the aisle, there's a silence in the church as he sits down in the front row. In this scenario, would the worship team at your church, knowing that Jesus himself was sitting in the congregation, would the worship team sing the same songs that they had planned to sing? Would they sing them in the same way that they had planned to sing them? I present this scenario because so many churches around the world, especially in the West, are focusing their worship more on pleasing a demographic of people, of trying to sing in a certain style that would bring in a certain group, and trying to be entertaining. When in reality, our worship is meant to be totally focused on pleasing God. But you know, this battle between pleasing the people and pleasing God is not something that's new. The Apostle Paul writes in Galatians chapter 1, verse 10, "For do I now persuade men or God? Or do I seek to please men? For if I still pleased men, I would not be a bondservant of Christ." 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. "But as we have been approved by God to be entrusted with the gospel, even so we speak, not as pleasing men, but God who tests our hearts." I would imagine that the Apostle Paul wrote these words knowing that even in his day, there was a desire to please men. Jesus himself said of the Pharisees, they desire the approval of men more than the approval of God. Jesus went on to quote the prophet Isaiah when he said, "They honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Therefore they worship in vain." Going all the way back into the Old Testament, we read a story of when Moses had gone up into the mountain and was with God. And the people began to try and get Aaron to make a calf for them to worship. Eventually, Aaron gave in for wanting to please the people. He made a golden calf and they entered into false worship. There has always been this battle between pleasing men and pleasing God. But that scenario I mentioned of Jesus visiting your church, that's not just a hypothetical scenario, that's a reality that Jesus visits every true church. He says in the book of Revelation that he walks among the candlesticks, he walks among the churches. Every true church, God visits. Jesus said, "Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am in their midst." Maybe you've just come to faith recently and you're looking for a church. That's something to keep in mind. Or maybe you've been a Christian for a long time. If Jesus were in the front row of your church, would it look the same as it looks today? Just something to think about.